Boy grew up with a corrector lock on his mouth because his father was a dentist. He hadn't eaten a single candy bar since he was a child. He managed to hide a few, and his father found them and poured them into the fireplace. But Alan took advantage of his father's lack of attention. He took a piece of chocolate out of the fireplace. Then he put it in his mouth and tasted it. And with one bite, Alan fell in love with the taste. Then he began to taste all kinds of chocolate, and he wrote down the characteristics of each chocolate. Soon Alan had a goal in mind. He was going to build the biggest chocolate factory in the world. But when his father heard about it, he was furious. He kicked him out of the house. Since then, Alan traveled the world, tasting all the different kinds of chocolate in the world. When he returned from his studies, when he was ready to tell his father the good news, home disappeared. Later, Alan was able to build a chocolate factory as he had hoped. Business was booming. Even the Prince of India hired him to build himself a chocolate palace. The bricks were made from chocolate blocks. The concrete is made of chocolate sauce. Even the ceiling was made of chocolate and milk. When the palace was finished, Alan told the prince he had to eat all the chocolate as soon as possible. But the prince didn't listen to him because he wanted to live here forever. One day the prince was tasting the chocolate. Suddenly a pile of chocolate fell on his forehead due to the long exposure to the sun. The whole chocolate palace began to melt rapidly. Luckily, the prince ran fast enough. He was able to save his own life. On the other hand, Alan was also in trouble, as his chocolates were selling like hotcakes. His chocolates were selling so well that many of his peers were jealous. They sent spies to infiltrate the factory and stole his secret recipe. Alan was disheartened, so he fired all his workers and announced that he would close the chocolate factory for good. But after a while, the factory was back up and running again. What was even more surprising was that a steady stream of chocolate was coming out of the factory, but not a single worker. At the same time, Alan made an announcement. He had hidden 5 golden tickets. Whoever wins would be able to come and visit his factory, and they could enter a competition at the factory. The winner would also receive a mystery prize. When the news broke, everyone went crazy. The supermarkets were out of chocolate in no time. Soon the first winner was born. He kept on eating chocolate every day. He even almost ate the tickets. The second winner was a rich girl. The father bought all the chocolates in the area to make his daughter happy. He bought all the chocolates in the area. He had all his staff open them for 49 days. Finally, he found the lottery ticket. The third winner was a talented young man. He had seen the time of the chocolates. He was able to find the ticket. He managed to find the ticket. The fourth winner was even more impressive. At the age of 10, he won the sparring championship. He had more trophies than he could fit in his house, chewing gum for 3 months just to win the gum chewing championship. And the fifth one is a bit different. This little boy was lucky too. He found a $10 bill in the snow just after he left the house. He rushed to the shop behind him. He bought a piece of his favorite chocolate. When he opened it, there was a shiny golden ticket inside. When the old man behind him saw it, he immediately came over to him. "My friend, I'll give you $10 and 2 packs of chili sticks. How about giving me the ticket?" The owner was also confused. "I didn't expect the last raffle ticket was in his own shop." At that moment, a woman said, "I'll give you 500 plus a used electric car. Give me the raffle ticket." At this point the owner told the boy, "Tell him to go home. Don't sell it to anyone." The boy's name was Bill. He didn't have a good family. Only on his birthday every year, he could only eat chocolate on his birthday. He slowly opened the package, but the miracle didn't happen for him. Just when Bill was disappointed, he found a $10 bill by accident, and that's how the scene began. He had won the last golden ticket. Soon it was time for the factory tour. The 5 winners were escorted in by their parents. Here they finally met the founder of the factory, Alan. When Alan opened the door, everyone was amazed by what they saw. This colorful place, it was all made of chocolate. Even the river and waterfall were made of chocolate. There was a group of dwarves at work in the distance. They've all been hired by Alan in the rainforest after a lot of trouble. So that's why there are no employees in or out of the factory. While Alan was introducing them to everyone, the fat, greedy little man had already eaten and ended up drinking the chocolate from the river. He accidentally fell in. He was sucked up by a giant straw and sent outside. And so Fatty was the first to be eliminated. The rest of the group followed Alan on the tour. Soon they arrived at the factory's laboratory. There was candy that wouldn't get any smaller if you ate it. There was also hair-growing candy that would make your hair grow to your waist. And the best of all was this machine, the gum it produces. Not only can it change its taste with the mood, and you can eat one for 3 days without getting hungry. When she hears the word chewing gum, the girl who was so competitive chewed it straight into her mouth. Girl just took a piece of chewing gum. Immediately, her nose turned blue. Then her arms and hair started turning blue too. It turns out that the gum is still in the experimental stage. Its functions were not yet stable. Then the girl's body began to expand rapidly. It eventually turned into a huge ball of skin, and that was the end of the girl. Then Alan took the rest of the group to the workshop where the nuts are produced, and there were a bunch of squirrels working here. These squirrels are no ordinary pine trees. They can tell a good nut from a bad one by the sound of it, and they peel the nuts big and whole. When the rich girl saw such a cute little squirrel, she wanted her father to buy one for her, but Alan said he wouldn't sell the squirrel to anyone. To her surprise, the girl got into the squirrel. Despite being prevented from doing so, the squirrels were outraged by this. They jumped on her. They soon had the girl on the ground. One of them tapped her on the head, then put his ear to it and listened. Immediately it was a bad fruit. Bad fruit. So he ordered the rats and threw her into the bottomless trash. And that was the end of the rich girl. Then Alan took Bill and the little genius to another lab. This was where Alan's greatest inventions were stored. TV chocolate candy. The little man placed a giant chocolate on a portal. Under a bright light, the chocolate was transported directly to the television set. Bill tentatively reached for it. He didn't expect it to come out. The genius was unnerved by this, so he decided to jump into the transport bin to find out what was going on. As the light came on again, he was transported to the TV too, but he was transformed into a minifigure, and so Bill was the final winner. Together they arrived at Alan's house. Then Alan announced the mystery prize. It was to give Bill his chocolate factory, but there was one condition, that he must never see his family again, because he had abandoned his family. That's how he got to where he is today. When Bill heard that, he refused. He told Alan, all happiness is only meaningful when it's shared with your family, than to be rich and famous. He would rather suffer with his family. In the end, with Bill's encouragement, Alan also returned to his old home. He saw the news about himself posted all over the house. Alan realized that his father had been watching over him all along. The father and son finally made up. Eventually Bill took over the chocolate factory. He and his family moved into the factory together. They lived happily ever after.